Start OBS and go live. We are streaming. That's synced. It's good. Good signs. We're gonna try one more time. Last minute. I know why I had my issues on the last stream. I shouldn't have had them. But we're learning. It's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting better. So let me grab some tape for this side. Dong, 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 dong. Do we be nice on this one? I think we do. I think we should. Let's go for it. Sounds good. And then we're going to test. Doing pretty good. Every time I stream, I'm like, this is the time that I figured everything out. Because I keep tweaking it. I keep making it simpler, and I'm spending all my time making it simpler. But that's gonna actually, the next one is gonna make it simpler. And then I will rest. Which is not true. I'll think of something else that I want to do. I want to do stream bingo. That's probably next. You'll see. You'll see. It's a fun idea. Stupid, but fun. All right. So, we have a car. We're doing Cadillac front doors in 20% to match the rear. This is Apex. So this is the best ceramic that we have. I just noticed that is blowing directly over here. We don't want that. Let me get that. Let me get that fixed. Could somebody run upstairs really quick? Excuse me, office. Could somebody run upstairs really quick and point that away from the car? The air thing. It feels nice. Yeah, anytime you have like air pointed directly where you are, it feels nice. Problem is, it wants to blow the tint off the car. So, ceiling fans, ventilation, it's okay to have. One of the best ways that we ended up tinting in pretty undesirable locations. So it was like mobile, audio, stereo. That's the same thing. Stereo shops. They would put us in the same bay that they would build speaker boxes in. So like cutting MDF. We would close the garage, just make sure airflow was always down to a minimum. So like, yes, it does create, like, blow dust in the air. So it's not that you can't have any airflow. It's just you don't necessarily want it pointed at what you're working on. But your hang time or exposure time, so when you peel the pattern, is going to be very brief too. So dust and stuff can still get on the film while you're working, but you just want to make sure that that's not going to happen when you go to peel the pattern. Clean the glass, peel the pattern. That's the time that matters the most. Is tinting a dump truck different than tinting a normal vehicle? I would expect so. Like, the process is going to be the same, but getting to the window, stuff that's in the way, that's usually the challenges. Like, so heavy equipment often is just a little bit more like ladder work. Like, so semi trucks, they have these giant mirrors and stuff like handles for the doors and whatnot that are just kind of in the way. So I don't know what you're going to run into on that specifically, but I would expect it'd be different. Definitely charge more for something like that. Been watching you for years. Thank you. I was watching and learning 8 years experience, and now I work at a high quality tint shop. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good for you, man. That was super good to hear. You'd probably have to use a ladder. Yeah. Okay. What was that about? It wasn't the blade, I don't think. Yeah, I'll snap off a chunk. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. This might have... Oh, you know what? I gotta change this. That's why. I know what I did with that blade last. I didn't remember it. I shaved off the inside of a window yesterday. So, because that should poke through way easier than it just did. Now, let's try it with a new blade. Because it was just dragging, and it shouldn't drag. See? That's better. I forgot I had used that blade. It looked pretty new, but I had used it to try and shave off the window yesterday. So... I was like, that was funny. That was nice and clean. We like that. That looks nice and smooth. And then we're going to round that corner. Just take the sharp point off of it. Ooh, there's just a teeny tiny little hang. There we go. And around this corner. Straighten this out. Yeah, we are double cutting the doors right now. So, just like he said in chat, we have two patterns back to back. Ooh, we want to shorten that up just a little bit more. See, this lines up nice. And then it's hard to tell, but it just kicks up just a little bit when this actually starts to bevel down just a little bit. So this should actually go like that. Just a little bit. Should be good now. We're going to separate them. And we're going to bring this one over to the other side. Is everything thinging good? Cool. They like dropped this one off 20 minutes early. And then I was in the middle of doing something. And next thing you know, I'm like an hour and 20 minutes later to start than I thought I was going to be. How many cars did it take you to feel like this was easy? There's never a point where I was just like, oh yeah, tinting's easy now. And you always run into days that just completely kick your butt for whatever reason, like the dumbest things. It's just like, yeah, this should be fine, and then your ass gets cooked. So I never try and take it for granted too much. But I want to say a year of it being like a full-time job, I felt more competent by the end of that year. And I would still get thrown into wild situations. There's still situations that'll just, like, they're just difficult. There's really hard cars out there. But my day-to-day is mostly this kind of stuff. This one's not brand new, but most of the stuff I get is brand new, clean, new leases or buys, I don't know. But a lot of new mid-range stuff. Higher mid-range, really. It's easy to get comfortable. That's when I mess up. I can relate. 100%. Heat gun takes away the skill of freehand cutting. What? I've never heard anybody say that before. Those things are completely independent. You get your patterns, and then you shrink them. What about a heat gun takes away any of that? Weird comment. Ooh, so this is interesting. This is like what we saw yesterday with the window showing beading. So what that means is that we're going to take a torch, because now when I spray it, my slip solution sheets a lot more evenly now. You see that? Up here, it just kind of drips off. And then down here, see how it changes to sheeting? It's not activating an adhesive. It has nothing to do with shrinking. It's just when I take my soapy water and I spray it on the glass, I look at what the soapy water does. I've tried scrubbing compounds. I've tried chemicals. Nothing works as good, as simple as just taking a torch and hitting that, and it just fixes it right up. It's beautiful. Now keep in mind, the glass is a little bit warmer. It's not hot, but it's definitely warmer. So we want to make sure the glass cools back down a little bit, or else we're trying to stick an adhesive on a hot window. So we don't really want to do that. It'll kind of defeat the purpose of trying to make it more slippery. That's a word, right? Slippery. No, it wouldn't shatter. You have to be doing something incredibly stupid to make glass actually break. Glass is super durable. It's prone, like, you can scratch it, and, like, when it wants to break, it will break violently. It'll shatter. But glass is actually, like, really durable. So, it could take a lot of heat before something happens. So don't worry about that. Now, what could get damaged very quickly is going to be the trim. The trim could burn extremely fast. So you don't want to put the flame very close to the edge. That's also why I'm glad when I torch a window, I spray it first, and that shows me that I need to torch it. And then it's wet, so the panel area has a little bit of relief there. So I'm just putting off a little bit of time here, letting the temperature just cool back down. I can spray it a few times, but I want it to be just a little bit cooler. So then I'm not fighting against much of a tackiness. I want to avoid that as much as possible. Yeah, the door covers are called panel guard. Pre-recorded, it's fake. So fake, man. What do you guys use for teaching in the flat glass class? That. We have some windows on stands too, but all the house windows. We have smaller house windows. We have one up there. We have a wooden frame over there. And we have a couple more like office type windows. Swipe that. All right, so now we're gonna get into installation. And installation on this one is fairly straightforward, but we do have a panel here. And that panel kind of sits up. I got this much panel here. That's kind of in my way. We can still go past it. Smarter to pull the panel back. But we don't necessarily need to. Cross your fingers. So we're gonna peel our pattern, pick it up, start with the long side here, get this on the glass. We're going to tuck it into the side seal here. And then we're going to pull this back. We're going to push it forward. Get that tucked in. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Make sure that top edge is nice and close to the top. As close as we can without getting over. We're going to check the edges here. Perfect, actually. That lined up really, really nice. We're gonna squeegee out the upper third, really. You don't need to squeegee all the way down to like where it splits. We're still gonna peel the bottom half of this pattern, so it doesn't need to be every little bit, because you're gonna pull. You'll see. You'll see. How does it not pinch? I can pinch a little bit, but we'll check it and you'll see. You'll see how we touch it up. And we roll it up. Now, the hardest part on this window is going to be tucking it into this tight little space down here. So I'm going to pull my liner. I rinsed the glass, but the underside of the film is dry because liner. So now we're going to wet it and just make sure we have sufficient slip in there. I'm going to take this corner, I'm going to tuck it in. See how steep that's got to be? And we're going to go tuck, 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 tuck until we start hitting something. My shank. Oh, fuck. There we go. I got it. I should have had this on hand. I'm going to pull back that seal. Just go little by little until we start getting that down into the seal. There we go. That's about as far as I can go for right now. I'm going to jump to this side. I'm going to pull this back. And we're going to tuck, 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 tuck. Now we're going to lift. Go up, 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 up. Pull, pull, pull. Getting it. Getting it, getting it, getting it, getting it, getting it. Okay, and then we can tuck this bit. See, because this is really easy to get to. This is progressively harder and harder and harder to get to. But you start getting it started, you pull back. Mainly getting that little bit. There's most of it. Squeegee this part out. Make sure everything's free. And then this over here. And anywhere that's hung up on something is keeping that from going down. There. That's in. And swipe. Ta-da! Squeegee, squeegee, squeegee. Ta-da! Ooh, I gotta change my battery already. That's how far behind I was on streaming today. Let me do that really quick before I forget. Don't forget. I do forget all the time. All right, I'm going to swap out my battery really quick. You guys aren't going to know anything happened other than a little shaky cam. This goes back in. Maybe that's the wrong way. There we go. How do you not get dust? Mix of things. Cleaning, installation needs to be smooth. So the more you struggle and fight with it, the more dirt gets washed back in. There's helpful products now like gel that can help mitigate some of that. But the easier that you can make the installation on yourself, so like if we just don't have to tuck much film down into the seal, that goes easier. Just gonna warm this side up. Warm this side up. I haven't seen one of these in a little while. But heat in touch-ups is your friend. You want to just dry out the sides. So if you have a little pinch or something, you heat it up, you put some pressure on that area, and then the only thing that's going to make it pop back up is a little bit of moisture still in between the film and the glass. So if you get it like nice and hot, liquid into the internals of the door, and it breaks the car, and then they need to get a new car. I see a little okay, so you guys know how a sticker works? To understand how tint works, it's a big transparent sticker or translucent. You know what? I don't like that so much. I got a little pinch down there, but I don't like the way that it's laying. So we're gonna take this off and we're gonna redo it. Yeah, I got pinched right here, but a little bit more than I like to see. So I'm gonna redo it. Soap mixture. I use tint slip. It's kind of a mix of things on this one. Frustrating. It happens. On a door window, it's not so bad. It's not going to take long to redo it. On a windshield, definitely frustrating. But it happens. Do you like to do two-stage or do you always bottom load? Most of the time I two-stage. Just what I'm way more familiar with. This would be a really good one to probably take out a screw there, pop the panel back. I'm sure the seal comes out that way. But I'm not positive on that. I think that's how it would go. How long should a car take you if nothing goes wrong? On all the sides and the rear, I was shot for 2 hours, and then with the windshield, add another like 45 minutes. You absolutely can go faster, and it's okay to go slower. But a healthy pace for a shop is generally 2 hours on a car. Have you ever tried double shrinking? Yeah, I have, and it works fine. I don't have a good answer why I keep individually shrinking them, other than sometimes you hear some popping sounds, like the film sticks together and kind of like pops away. And so I just like, I feel like sometimes I would shrink the top one a little bit more than the bottom one. But then I just kept going back to individually doing it. But you can shrink them both together just fine. Like you could snap shrink both just fine. Just habits, really. So I don't even hardly think about it. That's why. All right, so we're going to recut this door. We're going to cut this side, tear that away. We're going to drag it over, and then we're going to trim the other side. One thing I could have done to make this pattern that much simpler is honestly just leave it where it's at, because what I didn't notice when I went into it, I pull it down to the normal length. I'm so used to everything being a 1/4 inch down. These are flush. The inside seal and the outside seal are flush. So any distance that I am dragging this down is going farther into the seal. So if I drag it even farther down into the seal and I don't remove the seal, I'm just making it that much harder on myself. You didn't tack it before cutting. You get used to how it sits. You don't always have to tack it. Tacking helps, but when you're new, putting a little too much, like when I'm holding it, you could easily scooch it without realizing it. So tacking it is always a good thing, but then you loosen it up to move it around. So I just left it. Optional. Another thing that I can do on that bottom corner is round the bottom corner a little bit more than I typically would. Bottom corners are getting tucked. Having a longer, sharp corner doesn't really make sense. The Magnus Carlsen of tinting? I don't think so, no. I appreciate that, though. Got my car tinted, it had bubbles, shop blamed it on window imperfections. The only way that there's gonna be... Okay, so bubbles are typically not the glass. It's possible that your car was in an accident and had weld slag or something like that on the window, like so some type of pitting, but a lot of shops suck and pawn off answers or like shitty reasons for bad work. They'll pawn it off on the customer saying it was something with their vehicle or something that they did. That really sucks. You know, it was funny. I had a video that got shared in another group. And the video was me talking about shops making customers sign waivers for damage, like preventing all liability. So if I'm a shop and I damage something, there's some shops out there that would want you to sign a waiver that would make you responsible and not them responsible, which to me makes no fucking sense. And I was surprised to see the amount of like people that disagreed with that. Blaming the car's electrical stuff. It's like, dude, if you cannot do your job, like if you're taking on a job and there's some sort of an inherent risk to it, you can absolutely mitigate that risk. Or if it's absolutely impossible, don't fucking take on the job. Not for something that basic. There's just always people on both sides of the fence, and it's just wild to kind of see something that I think is that black and white. If I'm working on a car and I damage something, that's not the customer's fault. I need to either change what I do either need to change what I do or get better, or just not fucking take on the job. Holy shit. Why is that the customer's problem? Now, there's, I would say, an edge case with defroster lines, something that you can do completely carefully and still have an issue with. Maybe they see it like that. I don't know. Yes, water's involved, but it's not the customer's problem if I water damage something. There's always ways to prevent it. And it's just cost of doing business. It's just wild to me, that's all. Any tips for tinting windows with defrosters? You're just gonna tint them. You're not gonna do anything unique, anything special. You're just gonna be tinting them. There's every back window, almost every back window. I know there's gonna be any regular back window that you're gonna see is gonna have defroster lines. Just go straight over them. Nothing unusual about that. All right, so tucking this back in, round 2. Have you ever water damaged something? I was working on one of the Ram trucks early on before I knew. I had heard about the BCM. I didn't know where it was. And I was working with people that day. And we did a windshield, and we had to redo it. And it's just everybody's... There's a lot going on that day. Like, it was one of probably like 6 or 7 vehicles that was done. And then the windshield just needed to be redone. Other people were helping, and then something happened with too much water on that. Dried out overnight, and it was okay. I did have a few trippy windshields before I cover windshields the way that I do now. So there were years that I was mobile, and windshields were like super uncommon. And the only windshields that we would get was like a 300, a Charger, those types of cars. All your popular cars for issues. So I had a few like flickering light situations and stuff, but nothing. Oh, one other one that comes to mind. It was on a door window, believe it or not, and it was on a Durango. So I actually do the Durangos differently now. Good question. Can all cars be done like this, or is there times you have to remove the panels? There are times that you have to remove the panels, and it's all about access to the window. So this car is a super good example of that, where you don't have to, but it would make it easier. You see, like, I don't even have a shink's width of space here, and I gotta go all the way. This is where that panel starts, and this is, I gotta tuck all the way into here, into the seal, clean. It'd just be easier to tint that without that in the way. So like pull the panel back, pull out the seal, it would just be easier. But on this Durango, they have speakers here, and it actually has a speaker wire that feeds down directly to a module that connects to headlights and a whole bunch of other shit. I wouldn't have known that until they started flickering. So it just so happens on that one, water would trail along the seal, hitch a ride down that speaker wire, go to the module on the passenger door, and start freaking out the truck. So on the Durango specifically, I pull the seals out, and then the water just goes straight down, doesn't harm anything. So you are going to just run into weird edge cases, but the vast majority of things, treat it all the same. Keep an eye in community groups. That way you know what you're actually running into. Rear passenger windows on a BMW 760i. Is that the one with the screens by the switches? I haven't, but is that what it was? I've seen some pictures of that. Fucking wild. Yeah, 2020 Ram 1500 windshield. I got a lot of videos on that one. It was one of the most popular vehicles for like issues, but there's smart ways of covering it up, and some shops are still scared of doing them because they just don't cover them up. They don't cover them up right, and they just don't want to touch them. So we're gonna roll this up. I want to check the bottom edge. Just see where that lines up on this. It's not bad. I might shorten it up just a little bit in here. That's gonna make it slightly easier to tuck. How do you get faster? For me, I got faster by being constantly put under pressure. And I don't know if I would have gotten faster if I wasn't put under pressure. So I can hustle and definitely tint faster, but I know for sure I've lost some speed. I just like, I tint in a very like relaxed pace. But I just don't have to tint fast. So I don't. But I've definitely like, there's streams on the channel years back tinting for other people. I just had to tint faster, or else it, you know, it doesn't fucking make sense to be a business if you don't at least like have somebody tint for you, and they only do like a car or two a day. Like, no, it's not fast enough. Not really. All right, so we get to torch this side. I'm gonna pull this sticker off, this memento of the past. Wi-Fi and OnStar. You just don't see them much anymore. Okay, so on this window, when I spray it, I have soapy water, but it looks like I'm just spraying regular water. You see all these raindrops? If I take a torch and heat treat the surface, let's just do that spot. Look at how different this is versus what's happening here. See how it's hydrophobic and it's not hydrophobic. I don't know if it's just oils and grease build up over time. I've taken scrubbing compounds. It's just, there is something. People say actual hydrophobic coating. It acts like that. It could be. But I don't feel like people just put a hydrophobic coating on the inside of their window. Maybe it's the glass cleaner that you're using. But I have a hard time believing that the outside's fine and the inside is hydrophobic. So something happens to certain windows that makes them hydrophobic. I guess the nuances doesn't really matter. It is what it is. So if you take a torch, you can heat treat the surface of it. And then when you spray, it now sheets nice and evenly. So that means our soap is going to stick where it's supposed to. And then when I try and slide my pattern around, it will. Otherwise, it'll just stick really aggressively. I'm also using DI water now, so I think I see that more. Like, strips all the minerals and shit that makes it stick to stuff. I wonder if it's from the AC. I have no idea. I mean, panels off-gassing? I'm not sure. Like, glass cleaners? Who knows? It's weird to me, though, that you can't just take it's weird to me that you can't just take a chemical or like a scrubbing, like the only scrubbing compounds that have worked is something with actual grit in it. Maybe vape. I mean, I don't see something, and it's weird to me. I could take a scrub pad and a razor blade and like alcohol, and it's not going to make a difference. It's still going to do the same type of thing. A torch is like legitimately heat treats the surface, and then it's all fine. So some people say it like burns off a coating. That might be what's happening. But yeah, the only bad thing about the torch is it's really hard to hit the edges because that's paneling. So I don't want to get too close to that. Did I blade this? Yes, I did. Do you prefer to cut on a car or do the Sharpie method? I prefer typically cutting on the car just because it comes, like, I just been doing that for so much longer because I tinted at so many places that didn't have glass boards for me to use. But Sharpie is extremely efficient and very safe. It's the first thing that we teach people. So if they've never tinted before, never cut on a car, then we show them, like, do the Sharpie first, and then we can start cutting on the car. And then there's no reason you can't continue to do a Sharpie. It's a different way of doing the exact same thing. So it's not like you start with a Sharpie and then you graduate to this other method. It's just your situation will kind of dictate what you're going to have to kind of do. If I don't have a torch, will a heat gun suffice? A heat gun is not going to do the same thing that a torch does. Just go buy a torch. But a heat gun is needed for other things, like shrinking the film. So you could have both. But my answer for I don't have that thing that I need for this job, go buy that thing. I wasn't born with a torch either. What if you don't torch it? Like I said, watch what the glass does. There's windows that I don't have to torch that are completely fine. But if I spray my slip solution, I see the water just beating off, then you want to torch it. So spray it on the film. Look how that's sheeting. That's what I'm looking for on the window itself, though. So a way to think of it, absorb water, and that's how they stay wet. Glass doesn't absorb water. Glass is just a hard surface that water can sit on. And if your slip solution is not sheeting, then it is dripping off the window. So like I sprayed it, but the glass is dry. It's clinging together in small little droplets. You want it to fan out evenly, so then the film can slide around. Otherwise, the adhesive is going to be touching bare spots on the window. That's going to make it stick really, really quickly. Does that make sense? So like here's a good example. This is sheeting. See where it's splitting? This is dry. All that is just dry right now. We don't want that. We want it to sheet. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Spray bottle has gel in it. Getting it. Is gel worth the money? I think so. I'll never tint a windshield without it again. Not unless I just like can't find my bottle and I have no time or something like that, but I'm using OptiGlide. I'm still noticing some areas where it's splitting too. It could be a little bit better at that. Seems to be the certain windows. Water won't mess up the inside of the door. I sure hope not, or else that'd be expensive. Just to be clear, it's always a possibility. But there's no way to tint a window without water. So no tint, or cover things up, use water sparingly or how you see fit. Otherwise, no tint. If you push the water down, doesn't it go down? It does. But we can have a little door education. So, see these little holes down here? See the little drip? See this little gap? Whee! Look at that. Look at that water. Where's it going? It's going into the door. That is connected to the same spot, and it drips down, and it goes out your weep holes. Your doors are not waterproof. Like, they're not sealed in a way that keeps water out. They breathe. A little bit. I get asked that a lot. That's why we're probably gonna do tint bingo. Yep, you gotta weigh your options. Just in the world of window tinting, we have to use water. The tint has to go on the inside. And you be generally careful. And if something were to happen, unfortunately, you have to take care of it. I mean, unless you're just a bad business and want to say, like, oh, that's not my fault. Go away. It's your car. This never happened to me before. I'm immune. It's your car. It's not me. What's the lifespan? These films all have lifetime warranty. What that means specifically is if there is any type of natural film failure, it bubbles, it peels, it fades, discolors. It's covered under warranty. So, Geo, that's the films that we're installing right now, Geo is going to reimburse me in some way for replacing those windows. Every company does it differently. But it's important for you guys to recognize that a lifetime warranty film should not just mean if I put it on Zikar and something happens, it wasn't supposed to happen, and I'm stuck holding the bag. Depending on the film brand that you go with, some are going to have better coverage programs, but that generally means that their films are significantly more expensive. So like Lumar, from what I understand, will cover labor, along with like the full invoice of labor and replacement. So they would cover like the entire boat. But I'm also going to be paying like double the cost of film rolls. Geo's warranty is lifetime, obviously against all the major stuff. And then I believe it's a film credit up to like $250 on a car for most of their films. So it's not the greatest, but it's definitely by no means the worst. It's pretty, I'd say pretty average. What rails did you use on the glass for the cabinet? Oh, the rails on the cabinets. So my sliding glass barn doors, I went to Home Depot and I got 2-inch L bracket. And then we got a thinner piece of wood, and that's behind it to kind of stiffen it up. And we drilled a bunch of holes and bolted it all together. How do you have your tint organized? Honestly, not very well. I just have it each type in a cabinet. A good way to organize that makes it easily accessible is on a shelf. So each shelf tier is going to be like your different films, and you can just stack them. So I could have 50, 35, 25, just all your shades. And then a new roll placed underneath the open box, so you kind of know when you need to, when you're running low and if you have a replacement or not. They're easy to get to. But I have C2 carbon in that cabinet, C2 ceramic in that cabinet, and then Apex over in that one. And honestly, it gets all messed up. It's not a good way to keep inventory. It's just a good way to put it away and forget about it. Can I use this film on my shower door? Probably. Yeah, I don't see why not. How much does it cost to get into the tint game? Not very much money. You can get a full tool set for a couple $100. The vast majority of what you need. Film rolls, you can buy what you're going to end up using, so you don't need to carry 3 lines of film. You could carry just 1 line of film if you want. By 25 and maybe 35, and you're off to the races. There it is. But the expensive bit about tinting is always your time. Your setup and your time. So if you're mobile, you obviously save on a physical space, but you still have your time and driving and actually setting up and dealing with everything that you have to deal with when you're mobile. Because when you're mobile, it's not simple. Or you do mobile the way that I like to do mobile, and that was actually driving to other shops. So I was going out there for typically a day, and I would just tint whatever they had scheduled. I get to use their space, so I save on shop overhead, but they get a cut. So that would basically be my overhead. Easiest way to remove tint has been stuck in the car for 10 years. There might not be an easy way to remove that tint, but steamers, or if you're in a hot state, a black trash bag. I would look up both of those. Just look up how to remove window tint, and you'll find some really, really helpful videos. Far more helpful than I'm going to be right now, because I don't have anything that I'm removing. But heat and moisture are your friends in a removal. Okay, so before I put the tape on, ooh, I'm glad I saw this. Again, like another registration style sticker like we saw yesterday, and you see some little adhesive marks right there. That's easily something. And then there's like scratch lines here. Oh, that's got to be from wipers. Or scrapes. Yeah, it's on the outside. It's not perfect. They've brought a bunch of cars here. But it's important to note stuff like that. So then you don't tint it and go, oh shit, what's that? It's not good to be surprised. V-Cool? No, I don't know anything about V-Cool. So, when I cover up a dashboard, I tuck a towel all the way into the edge, and I try and do my best to keep it perfectly flat the entire way across. There we go. That's nice. I like when it pinches like this. It doesn't give me a lot of space at the very bottom, so I wouldn't add a rope to that. That part is especially tighter, so you just don't have room for both. But it makes the towel stay in there really nice. Yeah, we charge by the hour. We could just say it's $100 an hour to tint your car. We'll let you know when it's done, and then they show up and we're like, yeah, it was 7 hours to tint your car. You should keep an eye on how long it takes you to tint, and then if a car takes you especially long, think about it, that car in hours. Like, that's a good way to do it. But you should have probably an average of what it takes you and break that down hourly. If it takes you too long, that's a you problem. Yeah, typically. You're always going to have your unique cars that do take much longer, that are just much more difficult. Charge accordingly for that, obviously. But like your average car, I mean, that's where market ranges just come into play. So people will pay whatever they feel is appropriate. And there's other people that will see what you charge and always try and undercut you and do more for less. That's competition. That's how the world works. It's amazing how people just say stupid stuff. I know, I see it every day. Okay, where's my sprayer? It's a weird thing. Fall out. There it is. Alright, I'm gonna clean bad press, spreads fast. If you suck and you're slow, people won't come back. But in the world of window tinting, you don't have to be fast. Not unless you just make the speed desirable. You can tint very fast, and obviously there's more opportunity to make more money when you tint faster. So I'd say being faster is better than being slower. But you can also say, we just take our time on your car. Like, I mean, specifically, I'll say, a lot of shops, you're just going to be one of, you know, maybe a dozen cars that day in a shop. We're very individual. You book an appointment. This appointment's for you. We're not cluttering up your space with anybody else. We're not trying to jam in 5 extra cars over yours. And some people, obviously, that sounds better than, oh, well, they're not just going to throw my car in with a bunch of other ones, right? But if I'm like, hey, I don't have a lot of time, trying to get other stuff done this weekend, this shop can get me in and out inside of an hour, fuck yeah, let's do it. That sounds good too. Some shops will advertise plotter cutting, like we don't take any blades on your car, we do everything by machine. And then all of a sudden that sounds really good to a customer. It's like you can sell pretty much whatever you want. Make it a standout feature of your shop. This is my only appointment for today. This is an individualized thing. That was kind of the point of what I was saying too. I don't book up my schedule. I don't book up my schedule anymore, like a bunch of overlapping appointments and stuff. I used to. Literally scraping sneezes right now. Yeah. Yep. I try to not think about it, but thank you. It's the most expensive job you ever did? it's gonna be around $1,000. That's probably one of the Model 3s. I'm thinking nothing stands out in particular. I've done some like larger unique stuff. So like limos and party buses and that kind of stuff. So, but I like those tinting for somewhere else. I don't know what the ticket was on those. Whatever I did with PPF was definitely more than any window tint job that I ended up doing. And then like commercial work is gonna beat that out all day. How do you remove scratches from a windshield? There are ways to polish it. Unfortunately, it's just most of the time, now it's probably a little bit more feasible, but most of the time it's just not very feasible. So best answer for you is just replace the glass. Glass is an extremely hard surface. So like there's a ceruleum oxide. It's pretty popular in a polishing wheel. And then you're just gonna have to go in steps. There we go. I was just trying to get behind this. Price whole cart. Oh, I got my screwdriver here. Price whole cart in ceramic. We have 2 different types. One of them is $5.50 and the other one is $6.50. Nice. That was easy enough to take out. Okay, so my glass is definitely cleaned. We're now gonna cover the outside. I just mainly wanted to make sure that anywhere we had that adhesive in that area, I think there was like an oil change sticker or something up here. So I just needed to make sure that that was removed. So that spot is a very easy spot for me to miss because it's just kind of farther down. You don't really think about it, but when you walk to the outside of the car, it's one of the first spots that you see, that lower corner. So we're gonna cover this. We have a dryer sheet. Take that, wipe it all over the windshield. It's gonna leave a waxy smear behind. That's a good thing. You'll see how it helps with shrinking once we're ready to do that. Do you still do PPF? No, and I had somebody come out for a little bit of training a little over a year ago now. And I wish I had learned some of that stuff back then. But I still feel the same way about front bumpers. PPF is a very challenging skill. It's like if window tint and vinyl had like a little demon baby, because it's got all the shitty parts about window tinting, and you're doing it on the outside. But vinyl is very forgiving. PPF shows dirt like crazy. So if you have a little speck, you'll see a bright white spot, especially against black paint. And then it's on the exterior. So think about all the dirt that just builds up and sits in these edges, and then you flex the panel and it keeps spilling out. Like, it's incredibly difficult to clean. And keep cleaned. And you have all these like severe compound curves. So doing like your flatter stuff like fenders and hoods, much easier to do overall. just a bigger surface. But your front bumpers, oof, not fun. But the PPF trainer, E-Man, he was out here. He always said, focus on doing front ends only. Try to not do full cars if you can help it. You'll spend so much more time doing a full car. Obviously, you charge more, but you can just do more front ends in the same time that you're going to get a full car. But they would charge typically $2,500 for like the front end, and he would have it done in about 4 or 5 hours. On the flip side, I'll spend 4 or 5 hours with a car, less than that, but let's say 4 or 5 hours on a full ceramic tint, and are we charging over $1,000 for that? No, most times no. Just to put that into perspective. But it's a completely different client and animal. Your material is more expensive too. So it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to do PPF now. Where's all my PPF customers? More sales. Harder. Like more sales process. All right, let's crack open this roll. I thought you have to use dryer sheet for the rear windshield, but the front windshield is the exact same process as the rear, so why would we only do it on the rear and not the front? Ooh. Heavy. Apex is a 2 mil film. And it's a slippery bugger too. 100-foot roll. Love throwing that on a windshield. Oh, they missed. There we go. How long have you been tinting? I've been tinting since 2008. I like learning about everything around what I'm doing. And we have such a big community. So it's always been like just interesting things. And it's good to know how it all works. Oh, heavy. Heavy. Would it be stupid to accommodate for tint and PPF? No. No, not at all. It's a good way to grow a business. You should, like, typically, no, I don't want to assume too much on that. You don't want to be the person that is in charge of doing both. Obviously, it's good to know both, so you can step in and help. But the shop that I used to tint for, one of the places I used to tint for, wanted to start doing PPF. And it was just like, there was me, and there's one other person that was doing tint. And we were so booked up with tint that there wasn't any time for us to do anything else. But it was just, hey, if we do more services, we make more money. And so I learned how to do PPF. But doing more services does not automatically mean that you just make more money. Every service is going to have its own level of difficulty that you have to learn, and it needs its own time. And so what would happen is we would get a car, and they would want me to do PPF, And then they wouldn't consider the window tint schedule at all. It was just like, oh, we'll figure out time for it. Go work on window tint right now. And then when you got a few minutes, go do the PPF. And so I'd have a little break. I'd go start on PPF, and they'd be like, you got to go back over to window tint. And then it was just like that nonstop. So a week would go by, and then they would wonder why the PPF job's not done. And I'm like, are you kidding me? When have I had time to go work on it? Yes, it's been here for a long time. Go check the cameras and see what I've been doing the whole time. You keep pulling me away to do window tint. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just slow down the tint, and then you can go do the PPF. The customer's asking because we told him it would be done in a week. So frustrating. But knowing that, just if you haven't done one, I wouldn't necessarily just go, I'm going to be a window tint and PPF shop. Start with one and then introduce the other. Another important thing that I learned was just because you do window tint and that's a film does not mean you will also immediately have customers that also want PPF. People that are spending $200, $300, $400 on window tint are not automatically going to spend $2,000 to $3,000 on a PPF front end. Now, I tinted for a high-end detail shop, and there was a lot more PPF business, and that's when it kind of hit me. It's like, oh, if you're a high-end window tint place, you're going to have people that are going to want PPF. If you're a high-end detail place, you're cleaning a car, the next natural step is to then PPF it. And also just being a PPF shop in a higher-end area, like it's a higher-end thing. So the shop that we were trying to introduce it in was not a high-end tint shop. And so we would get a PPF job maybe once a month. So I never really had a lot of focus in the PPF space. Would it work to schedule a day for window tint and PPF? Yes. Except the PPF is going to take you longer than a day. Now I can't speak for everybody. Every shop's going to be different. But a lot of things seem to balance themselves out, and when you start spreading yourself thin amongst a bunch of different services, you're better off honestly just sometimes specializing in one of them. But you need to have somebody do the other service if you really want to make money. There's no way around that. Like if I'm trying to do both things. Like a water tint. We're making waves. The camera makes every color stand out a little bit more. I think I can tweak the saturation. But it makes, like, there's definitely a little blue to this film. But it's not as blue as what it looks like on camera right now. Like, I could pick up this. You see that windshield? See how, like, that has color to it, too? Like, doesn't have that much color. It does. It looks extremely blue right now. Nope, I just window tint. I've done a little bit of vinyl. I understand it a lot more now than I used to. But I've never specialized in doing vinyl. I've done some auto glass, PPF. And honestly, it was really nice doing PPF. You just have, like, it's just getting over the learning curve of doing difficult bumpers. And it's not so bad. I just don't feel like putting myself under that, especially when I just have enough to do with window tint. Have you ever used a glove to shrink instead of a hard card? I have, and my hand doesn't sit as flat on the windshield. So I like a card. I can just put more even pressure down. Do you have to recalibrate mirrors? No. Taking off the mirror does not take away the collision avoidance system. You don't ever want to mess with that. So we're not doing anything that's going to require calibration. What comments? I'm streaming to a couple different places, YouTube and TikTok. Okay, so a lot of people get stuck in top corners. See this swoop here? We don't want to take that and just push it up. We want to take that and stretch it out. So I take this card and I push that wave. And then if we've tacked it flat, we're just going to lift that so it scoots out freely. Straighten that out. And then we just got that little bit to shrink. Always keep that in mind for top corners. I think it's to make it more pliable to stretch over the curves. As an upholsterer, do the same thing when using vinyl. So we're not hitting it with heat to get it more pliable to stretch it. That is absolutely what you do with vinyl. Window tint, think of it as it's already stretched, and anytime you touch it with heat, it contracts. So it shrinks together. So what we're doing is we're taking heat to these spots, and then that causes it to shrink. So vinyl, you could stretch it, and then if you wanted it to shrink back, you would hit it with heat. But window tint doesn't hardly stretch much at all. So like all these little fingers, I just hit them with heat, they shrink down, and there's just a pattern to that you want to stick to. And so it molds nice and flat over the shield. Just got my tint redone. tells me the liquid puppies under my tint will disappear. Mini air bubbles. Is he lying? If it's like brand new, you're gonna have some liquid puppies for a couple days. But if it's been a week, he's lying. What doesn't go away are dirt, creases, hairs, imperfections. Water will always dry out. So I have these translucent pockets in between the film and the glass. So when you first get it, after it's been sitting for like an hour or two, you can have water basically pool together into small little like blister pockets. But if you see bright white spots, it never goes away. Any tips? I have a 2026 Escalade windshield. Nothing specifically for that. That we wouldn't be doing for this one. So just watch this video. So right now we're just trimming out our pattern. I'm cutting on the white line, keeps the blade off the glass. And I put the white line just outside the dots here. So anywhere I cut on this white line is going outside the border. But I don't want to cut it all the way at the edge because that's going to make my pattern probably a little bit too wide. These are the icon lights from Harbor Freight. They've been really good. I always like little stick lights. What was your favorite car that you've ever done? Oh man, I keep coming back to Malibus. It's not exciting. My favorite days are days like today, when I just have, it's like 2 front doors and a windshield on a Cadillac. Sign me up. You're always gonna have your difficult cars and difficult days, but it could be 2 front doors and a windshield on like an Audi S series, and I'm like, ah, shit, all right, and we'll do it. It's like we've had a handful of Golfs and Jettas lately. It's like if I can have another day of not having a Golf or a Jetta, it's a good day. I banned whoever that was, I don't know. On every modern car, you're going to have what is called an ADAS, collision avoidance radar, some system. These can help with lane keep, cruise control, but they're generally ADAS like safety cameras, and they're calibrated to watch the road and just like sit in a certain position in 3D space. So you don't ever want to take these off, and you don't ever want to like unplug or move them around. Some are more forgiving than others. I don't want to find out exactly what, but we're going to cut around all of this. So whenever you see a dot matrix border that just goes zoop, right around, and this is all blacked out, especially when there's this type of hardware, you just follow that border. Do you shrink again after cutting? Yes. You don't necessarily have to, but you trim a section of film that was connected to your shrink. So if you push it down a little early, you'll see little fingers and wobbles along the edge. So it's good to, like, after you trim it, just take a heat gun, touch up the top and bottom a little bit, make sure that they're ironed out flat, and then you're not going to have any issues with, you know, a bunch of little fingers popping up at the bottom. That'd be extremely difficult to try and touch up afterwards. $200 for C2 carbon in Dearborn. Oof. $200 for front doors and windshields is definitely on the cheaper end of things. I know the area that you're in is really competitive. Auto Tint City is in Dearborn Heights. You got them to compete with. They're not far from you. It's my dad's shop. I never liked competing in that range. And this is just unfortunate, but just how life works. Lower income areas and saturated areas, they're just like, it's just more competitive. You need to figure out other ways of standing out. If everybody's doing the same thing and the customers don't really value what you're doing, then it's, you know, you're going to feel like you constantly have to convince people. I'm in Sterling Heights. My dad has a shop in Dearborn Heights called Auto Tint City. My early videos are from there. Best Buy started a tint program before? Oh, I never knew that. I used to tint for Best Buy. We were a flagship store. They were trying to bring on tinting into the auto tech bays. Let's just say after 3 months, the whole thing got canceled. They sent us to Lumar. Oh, that's so funny. That's a very similar story to, there's a company around here called Mickey Shore. They're owned by ABC Warehouse. And they hired the tinter from one of my dad's stores when it was Auto Ameristar. He had 2 stores left, and they hired him to start their window tint program, and that's when I was working there. So hired him away. Then my dad's business partner, his son, taught me how to tint over the summer. And that's how I got my start. But Mickey Shore, they tried to start a window tint program. And like any auto accessory company, they just never could do it well. And the problem is, it's so much of an installer skill, and then if you don't treat the installers well, they get pissed off and leave, and they can make more money just tinting on their own most of the time. So a lot of time you just find the stragglers to work at a tint spot that didn't want to start their own business, or, you know, maybe were too nervous, or they tried it and it just didn't work out, or whatever. It's like, part of running a business that makes it tough is like, you gotta think about, you can't just think about it like a skill. You gotta think about it like a business, because it is. But there's so many people that just treat it like a skill. So there's the business part. There's the business part, and then there's the skill part. And so when you have a good shop, they treat the installers well. Installers make good money. They're happy. They don't overwhelm them. But yeah, that was oh man, Mickey Shore is a funny business. I never met an installer that was ever happy he worked there. Okay, so we are going to reverse roll this one. Loosening up the liner. I'm going to put this back down. Then we're going to hop to this side. Wipe this off. Gonna peel this. Spray, spray, spray. And then lift this part. What's the saying? Do as we say, not as we do. Yeah, that's cops like tinting their cars, and then they have laws that make it illegal. It's funny. Anyways, okay, so we are reverse rolling this one, which means we're gonna roll it up like a poster. Then we're gonna get to the end here, and I'm just gonna try and twist this up. Tighter roll always works a little bit better for me. Keeps a little more structure. It's easier to tuck this down a little bit farther. Roll, roll, roll. And I want to keep the bottom portion flat. And I'm not so concerned about it telescoping out the top. Then when we unroll it, the clear liner side has peeled itself. It's sitting on the back side. So we're going to hop in here. Yes, this is Apex 50. Going to get this up on the glass, tuck it down as far as we can, and try and get it near where it's going to be installed, as close as you can. Because as you unroll it, everything's just going to kind of fall into place. Roll, roll, roll. Now we're going to take this liner, peel that off. Let's go past this. There we go. Tuck up. So the closer you can get it to installed, the easier it's going to be to unroll on the windshield. But at a certain point, it's okay to let it drop away from the window just to get it unrolled. It was going a bit more of an angle than I should have had it. So I let it go earlier to get that unrolled. Let me grab one more tool. You install with the soak rope in. It depends on the windshield. So if I've got space at the bottom to tuck a rope, I do. But some windshields are just extremely tight. So a good dense towel is really all you need. And then for me, a rope is extra now. So I like them and I use them, but just not all the time. All right, now we got that spread out. How do you get the streakiness clean? Oh, that's on the outside, so that's the dryer sheet. We pulled it off the outside. And once this is installed, it'll clean off the outside. So none of the streakiness that you see right now is in between the film. I should peel it off of a peel board to clear that up, like that confusion. But this is just years of tinting. No peel boards. I just do it straight off the car. So I'm way more comfortable just rolling it up off the car than taking it to a peel board, but I can still do that. All right. Do new cars come with factory sun reflective window? Mostly your higher end luxury cars might have something. I have a Lincoln. It does have an iridescent windshield to it. Didn't seem to do shit. We even put a meter on it. So I honestly don't know the point of having it, other than it made it look a little more interesting. Now, on the EVs, that's where I would see it more. Some of them would have it, but like on your Teslas, I saw it on a Mustang Mach-E. If they have an exposed glass roof with no shade, then they're going to put something in the glass that's definitely going to make the driver more comfortable. So they do have a ceramic film almost always on there. So there's honestly no sense in adding another layer of ceramic to it. Not unless you just want to make it a little bit darker, but then it doesn't need to be ceramic. But typically, nothing on the windshield. You might on a Range Rover, you might on some BMWs or Mercedes or something like that. Audi's one that might have something. But most cars, no. Most cars don't have Anything special about the glass? So they will block some UV. They'll block a little bit of heat, but it really depends on that particular vehicle with the glass. So most people getting ceramic are used to driving what they're driving with. They got a car. They're just like, oh yeah, can't stand it. So I've never jumped in something that's felt like it's blocked an enormous amount of heat or anything. And we'll check that with like a heat lamp, just to make sure sometimes. But I genuinely get curious about some newer cars to see, you know, hey, this one looks like it might do something. Let's check it. Put a BTU meter, put a heat lamp, see if it does anything. How do I cut a curve edge like on an F-150? I would check out the channel. I have quite a few live streams recently of doing F-150s by hand. So you can see firsthand. It's harder to explain when it's not here. Yeah, about a week ago. The YouTube channel, though. Check that out. I use Sprayway. It's been the best. I like it. Oh, can I use this then? Let's just use this. Do you think it's a good job in Missouri or Kansas? I couldn't tell you. It's probably a good job in both places. I mean, Michigan wouldn't be my first, cold 8 months out of the year. Let's tint there. I was just born here. I heard a stat that blew my mind, though. I don't know if I should share it. I'm not going to say who I heard it from, and I haven't really paid attention personally, but 10% of the sales was the Northeast versus the rest of the country. So, I mean, it's not really maybe that big of a difference was a surprise to me. But to hear that drastic of a difference. But the hotter states are just going to be busier. They're also going to be more competition there too. I did a Kia K5 yesterday. Made me question my skills as a tinter. Oh, we all have those days in those cars. Yeah, K5's like, it's like just an average Kia, but the new Elantras, the K4s, they all have tighter seals. They're not so fun. It was a while ago, but I did pull the bottom seal on a K4 or K5 when the first one that I had, I pulled the seal on. because chat scared me, and then I've never pulled a seal on it since. But it's not hard to do. That might make it a little bit easier on you next time. So we're going to pop this back up. Goes like this. Come on, come on. No, it's just not going. Hang on. Why does the watch make me do this? Why does it make me turn the thing? It should just... there's probably a setting I'm not seeing. Okay, come on. Why won't you go in there? Okay, there we got one. There we go. And then click. Got it. Should I learn with T-View tint? I bought eBay tint and it's weird. I've actually bought T-View and it's just an inexpensive dyed film. It wasn't the most amazing film to work with, but yeah, it's perfectly fine to practice with. eBay tint, you guys always use them like they're brands and they're all the same. Amazon, eBay, they're marketplaces. So you can find a good product there, and you can find lots of bad products there too as well. Most of the time, bad products, or just very cheap products. Like, I buy shit off of Amazon all the time. If I'm looking for just a generic whatever thing that generally fits the bill, but if I'm looking for something that I need to be more critical on, I still might order it there if it's got like a brand, or I can actually look up that particular brand. But just getting like the eBay, I got the eBay tint. Like, I need my truck tinted. What kind? The Ford truck. Okay, because there's one. It always stands out to me. It's funny when people say it that way. This looks good. Little one right here. It's had some time to dry. And it's gone. Cool. All right. Well, this one is good. Turned out nice. I'm very happy with it. Want to go to Fogo? Yeah, I'm all set. I'm ending it now. Yeah. We should get some food. The best slip solution in high heat weather. One of it is to make sure your glass is torched. So, like, just pay attention to the slip solution on it, because it might be the glass. That's what we ran into today. I use tint slip. Tint slips are really good. Both of those things. Also, gel can help too. What would you charge for a rear glass on a C5 Corvette? Specifically on the back window, probably about $400 or $500 starting on it. Most people wouldn't just want to do the back window unless it was just like, yeah, the doors were done a while ago and I just need the back glass done. But somewhere in that range. Why did you need to torch a windshield? Oh, I've never torched the windshield. That's only been on side windows. That stuff works awesome. Good, I'm glad you like it. I'm a fan. How many cars do you tint a day? So I used to tint a lot of cars every day. But I've been doing videos and live streams for a long time. And I always wanted to continue doing videos. So I opened up Detroit Tint Studio as a way to continue doing videos, and we just kind of grew into a tool distributor instead of focusing on being a super busy tint shop. So I am a tool distributor before a tint shop. Now, customers don't really know that because they call us just like a regular tint shop. They book cars just like a regular tint shop. So we have everything in place. We are a regular tint shop. But at this point, I'm first and foremost a tool distributor. Yeah, I'm the main tinter. There's tool distribution behind there. How do you distribute tools? We pack them up and we put them in packages. I guess that's the definition of packing them up. But these are the majority of them. Tint tools aren't very big. We have a lot of extra inventory upstairs, but squeegees, cards, scrub pads, door covers, clay bars, tape. Majority of it's back here. And then we have upstairs with all the rest of the inventory. And then back here is just extra space for another car or when we host classes. Alrighty, dudes. Well, thank you for hanging out. Sell bulldozers? Mm-hmm. We actually have 3 different types of bulldozers, but I still like the original bulldozer now. Fusion came out with some dupes. This one, and they have an orange one too. This is a flexible one, but it's not quite as flexible as the original bulldozer. I like these the best. This is kind of like a mid, and then the orange one's really hard. I wasn't a fan of the orange one personally. Do you sell spray kegs? Yeah, we do. We have this spray keg set up actually. And it comes just like this. So you get like a 30-foot hose, 3-gallon keg, brass, swivel, sprayer. See, that swivels and all that. Quick disconnects, so this can stay charged. Yeah, it's a 3-gallon because I've always liked the 3-gallon. 5-gallon is good, but for window tinting, 3 gallons awesome because it'll last like the entire day, and then you pretty much change the water out the next day anyways. So like 5 gallons always just seemed excessive and a little harder to clean. Place another order today. Thank you, I appreciate that. So the site, before I end, 3and3tint.com, and then you can save 5% on tools pretty much any time with the code 3and3tint. That's kind of like an ongoing running promo code. But we have a rewards program now. It's like a 2% points back program. It's pretty good. Goes to film and tools. But thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you. I hope my program worked today. I'm going to look at that. I should click stop here. Did it stop streaming? No, it's still streaming. Ooh, one more question. Okay. How often do you have to repressurize the keg? Just when you refill it. So I put 90 psi in it, and it keeps it good through the entire keg. You leave a little space at the top for air, and then like if you just left not much room for air, then that air is going to expand as you use more water, and then it's just air pressure is not going to be as high.